Good evening, my friends. Tonight I want to share with you the single most powerful money secret I have ever discovered. A trick so simple that most people overlook it entirely, yet so profound that it can transform your entire relationship with abundance. You look at money and think it is something outside of you. Distant, difficult, almost unattainable. This is how you were taught to see it, as if it were a whimsical entity that chooses to appear for some and abandon others. But I tell you, with the conviction of one who knows the law, this is an illusion. And as long as you treat money as a stranger, it will remain an outsider in your life. Tonight I am going to teach you to do something that will seem strange at first, perhaps even foolish. I am going to teach you to treat money like a person, a living, responsive presence that hears you, responds to you, and moves toward you or away from you based on how you speak to it and about it. This is not metaphor. This is not whimsy. This is the practical application of a profound spiritual law. What you treat as alive gains life within you, and what you welcome as close draws near. Let me begin by sharing a story that will illustrate exactly what I mean. Just last month, a gentleman came to my lecture who had been struggling financially for years. He was a hard-working man, intelligent and capable, yet money seemed to slip through his fingers no matter what he did. As we spoke after the lecture, I noticed something remarkable about the way he talked about money. He spoke of it with contempt, with resentment, with suspicion. Money is the root of all evil, he said. Rich people are greedy. Money corrupts everything it touches. I hate dealing with money. It's such a burden. I stopped him and said, "My friend, imagine if there were a person standing beside you right now, listening to every word you just spoke. Imagine this person has the power to help you, to flow into your life abundantly, to solve your problems. But they have just heard you say that they are evil, that they corrupt everything, that you hate dealing with them. How long do you think this person would stay in your presence?" He looked at me, stunned. "Not long, I suppose." "Exactly," I replied. "And this is precisely what you do with money every day. You speak of it as though it were an enemy, a burden, a corrupting force. And then you wonder why it stays away from you." I taught this man to completely transform his relationship with money by treating it as he would a valued friend. Every morning he would sit quietly and speak to money as though it were a person sitting across from him. He would say, "Good morning. Thank you for being in my life. I appreciate you. I honor you. I know you are always flowing to me." At first he felt foolish doing this, but I explained that his subconscious mind does not distinguish between a person and a concept. It only responds to the feeling and attitude he holds. By treating money as a living presence worthy of respect and gratitude, he was programming his subconscious to attract rather than repel abundance. Within 3 months, his financial situation had completely transformed. Unexpected opportunities appeared. Money came to him from sources he never anticipated. His business suddenly flourished. He had not changed his actions, he had changed his relationship, his conversation, his attitude toward money itself. You see, everything you call reality is merely a reflection of the state you silently maintain within yourself. If money seems absent, it is because deep down you have driven it away through the tone of your internal conversation. If it seems scarce, it is because in your heart you have seen it as distant, as separate, as something that belongs to others but not to you. The mistake that ordinary people make is to supplicate, to complain, to beg, as if money were a cruel master distributing favors according to some mysterious criteria. But I tell you, money is a servant, not a master. It responds to the inner voice with the same precision that an echo responds to a mountain. What you affirm in silence, it returns in form. Think about how you actually speak about money throughout your day. Do you say, "I can't afford that"? That is speaking to money as though it were absent. Do you say, "Money is so hard to come by"? That is telling money to stay away. Do you look at wealthy people with resentment and think, "They have it all while I have nothing"? That is creating a wall of separation between yourself and abundance. The visible world has no power to decide how much you will have. It merely bows to what has already been decreed in the invisible realm of your consciousness. If you speak with despair, money hears you and moves away. If you speak with gratitude and certainty, it inclines toward you and stays. Let me be absolutely clear about this. It is not your bank balance that dictates the tone of your conversation. It is your internal state that decides what will be reflected in your bank balance. Just as the sun does not need the clouds' approval to shine, your consciousness does not need external permission to decree abundance. When you begin to understand that money is not just a distant abstraction but a reality that molds itself to the state you maintain, the first practical step is to learn to speak to it as if it were already present. Think about this carefully. When you talk to a person, you do not doubt whether they are there or not. You do not close your eyes and wonder if you will be heard. You simply speak, and there is a natural certainty that someone on the other side is receiving your words. It is precisely this state of normalcy, of quiet conviction, that you must bring to your relationship with money. The mistake many make is to talk about money like someone pleading or someone fearful. They ask like supplicants. They murmur like those afraid to lose. And thus they establish a dialogue of absence rather than presence. But when you speak to money as if it were already sitting beside you, as if it were already flowing abundantly in your life, you activate within yourself the only language the universe understands, the language of assumption. For it is not the quantity of words nor the intensity of the voice that moves reality. It is the quality of the assumed state. Imagine thanking money as you would thank a friend who has just extended a hand to help you. You do not look at a friend fearing they will disappear the next moment. You trust their presence. You honor them. You acknowledge the gesture and respond with gratitude. So too with money. When you address it this way, not as a beggar, but as a host receiving an expected guest, your mind stops vibrating at the frequency of lack and begins to emit the only vibration that creates, the vibration of already having. Let me give you a practical example. A woman came to me who was drowning in debt. Every time she looked at her bills, she would say, "I hate this, I can't deal with this, money is such a problem in my life." I taught her to completely change this conversation. Instead of cursing her bills, I taught her to thank them. Thank you, money, for flowing through my life. I appreciate you for allowing me to exchange you for services I have received. I know more of you is always coming to me. At first she thought I was asking her to lie to herself, but I explained that she was not lying. She was choosing which reality to align with. There is a dimension of consciousness where money is already flowing abundantly to her. By speaking from that dimension, she was claiming it as her reality. Within weeks, her entire experience with money began to shift. The anxiety dissolved. Solutions appeared. Money came to her in unexpected ways. She had learned to speak money's language, the language of welcome, appreciation, and assured expectation. The second great truth you must understand is this. There is no separation between you and money, none whatsoever. The ordinary person looks at their bank account, sees low numbers, and says, "I don't have money." But that is the great lie that sustains scarcity. When you declare you do not have, you establish an invisible wall between yourself and what you desire. And since everything in the world is merely a reflection of consciousness, this wall becomes real, blocking manifestation. Money is not outside waiting for permission to come to you. It already exists, and its presence is attracted or repelled by the state you assume. Think of a child who hears their parents call. The child does not question whether to answer or not. They recognize the voice and respond immediately. So too with money. It does not come because the external world brought it to you. It comes because your consciousness called it. It is necessary to abandon the idea that prosperity is a distant privilege or a stroke of luck reserved for a chosen few. Prosperity is an inevitable reflection of those who understand their unity with it. If you see money as separate, distant, unattainable, you will always live trying to conquer what can never unite with you. But if you dare to see yourself as already united with money, as someone who carries that reality within your own being, the reflection will have no choice but to bow to the state you have assumed. I remember a young man who came to me with this exact problem. He would see wealthy people and think, "They have what I lack, they are over there with abundance, and I am over here with scarcity." This thought created an impenetrable barrier between himself and prosperity. I taught him to change his perception entirely. When you see someone with money, I said, do not see it as proof that you lack. See it as proof that money exists, that it flows, that it is available. See it as a reminder that the same source that created their abundance is within you. They are not separate from you. They are you, expressing in a different form. He practiced seeing all money, whether in his own hands or in the hands of others, as confirmation of his own unity with abundance. Within months, his income had tripled. He had dissolved the wall of separation by recognizing that money was not out there, but was an expression of the consciousness he carried within. Look at the world with different eyes. Every coin that circulates, every transaction, every visible abundance is not a sign that you lack something. It is a reminder that the same source that moves them resides within you. When you feel separated, the sight of another's wealth awakens envy and resentment. But when you recognize unity, the abundance of others becomes a confirmation of your own. The third step in treating money like a person is understanding that words alone are not enough. You must feel. Words without feeling are empty, like a body without a soul. You can repeat 1,000 times that you are prosperous, but if within you carries the weight of lack, the world will respond to what truly vibrates in your consciousness, not to your empty words. The key is to wear the feeling of abundance like someone putting on an invisible garment that shapes their posture, their breathing, their gaze. Close your eyes right now and allow yourself to experience this. Imagine holding paper currency in your hands. Feel the texture, smell the distinct scent, sense the weight. Mentally hear the sound of coins dropping into your palm, of a merchant thanking you for your purchase. See your bank statement overflowing with abundance. Feel the peace of paying everything with plenty left over. Notice the lightness in your body, the body of one who does not fear tomorrow, who does not worry about survival, who rests in the certainty of abundant supply. These are not useless fantasies. They are seeds sown in the fertile ground of imagination, and everything conceived there, enveloped in true emotion, must be born into the visible world. Do not underestimate the power of feeling. Imagination is the womb of all creation, and what is generated there, wrapped in genuine emotion, cannot be prevented from manifesting by any external circumstance. I knew a businessman who practiced this technique with remarkable discipline. Every evening before sleep, he would spend 10 minutes feeling what it was like to be abundantly wealthy. He would feel the security, the freedom, the generosity that abundance allowed. He would experience the joy of giving, the peace of having more than enough, the confidence of knowing his family was provided for. He did not just think about these things, he felt them in his body. His breathing would deepen, his shoulders would relax, a smile would cross his face. He was not pretending to feel abundant, he was actually generating the feeling of abundance through the power of imagination. Within a year, his business had grown beyond his wildest expectations. Money flowed to him from multiple sources. Opportunities appeared that he could never have consciously planned. His subconscious mind, impressed with the feeling of abundance, had reorganized his entire world to match that feeling. Look within yourself right now and notice the contrast. When you think of financial struggle, your body contracts, your breath becomes shallow, your heart races with anxiety. This is the feeling of lack, and it creates more lack. But when you wear the feeling of abundance, there is an openness, an expansion, a peaceful confidence that no external circumstance can steal. This state is the invisible proof that the work has been done in consciousness. The mistake of many is to wait to feel abundant only after money appears. But that is the greatest deception. The world does not bring abundance so that you may feel prosperous. You feel prosperous first, and then the world is compelled to bow to that state. This is the inverted order that keeps people trapped in cycles of struggle. They say, "I'll be grateful when the money comes." But the law says, be grateful now and the money must come. The fourth principle in treating money like a person is this: you cannot attract what you despise. Many say they want to prosper, but within themselves they carry resentment and distrust toward money. They criticize those who have it. They judge the wealthy as though they were corrupt. They treat abundance as something dirty or shameful, and yet they expect money to flow into their lives. I tell you that is impossible. What you reject, what you curse in thought, can never remain by your side. Money, like any living presence you welcome, needs to be treated with respect, not as a lord to be worshipped, but as an honored guest to be received. If someone were received in your home with disdain, mockery, and distrust, how long would they stay? So it is with money. If you treat it as a burden, as an enemy, as a necessary evil, it will have no reason to remain. But if you honor it, if you recognize in it the possibility of expressing gratitude, generosity, and fulfillment, it will stay and multiply. You can see this pattern in your own life. How many times have you looked at a bill with anger and muttered curses? How many times have you spent money with guilt, as if the act of using it was shameful? This pattern is a subtle rejection, an invisible message you send saying, I do not want you in my life. And the law, which never fails, responds by moving money further away. A woman came to me who had this exact pattern. She would receive money and immediately feel guilty about having it. She would spend it quickly, almost unconsciously, as though she did not deserve to keep it. She criticized wealthy people, calling them selfish and greedy. She saw money as the root of all problems. I said to her, you are treating money like an enemy, and then wondering why it will not stay with you. Imagine if you treated a person this way, receiving them with suspicion, getting rid of them as quickly as possible, speaking ill of anyone who kept their company. Would that person remain your friend? She understood immediately. I taught her to change her entire attitude toward money. Instead of complaining when bills arrived, she began thanking money for flowing through her life. Instead of criticizing the wealthy, she began celebrating their abundance as proof of what was possible. Instead of spending with guilt, she began using money with gratitude and purpose. The transformation was remarkable. Money began to stay with her. Opportunities to earn more appeared. Her relationship with abundance shifted from one of hostility to one of partnership. Change begins when you decide to re-educate your inner attitude. Instead of complaining, give thanks. Instead of envying, celebrate. Instead of suspecting, trust. Money is neither a curse nor a blessing in itself. It is merely an expression of the state you assume. If you receive it with disdain, it becomes scarce. If you receive it with honor, it multiplies. But do not confuse respect with worship. Worshipping money is to make yourself its slave, to think that your life will only have value if the numbers are large. Respecting money is to treat it as an ally, as a presence that serves your higher purpose, as an instrument that responds to the call of consciousness. That is the difference between living in anxiety and living in peace. Now, the fifth and final principle is this. You must live as one who already has, not as one who is waiting to receive. Most people live waiting for circumstances to change first, and then they will change their attitude. They say, when I have money, I will be generous. When I am prosperous, I will live in peace. When my bank account is full, then I will feel abundant. But that is the greatest deception. The world does not bring abundance so that you may feel prosperous. You feel prosperous first, and then the world is compelled to bow to that state. He who waits never harvests, because waiting is an eternal postponement. Tomorrow becomes an excuse not to assume today the posture of what already is. And as long as you live as if you are still lacking, reality has no choice but to show you more of what you maintain. The law is clear. The reflection can only reproduce the image before the mirror. If you see yourself as lacking, the world will show you lack. If you see yourself as abundant, abundance must become visible. Living as one who already has does not mean going out and spending recklessly. It means walking with the confidence of one who knows there is no lack. It is making decisions without the burden of fear. It is holding your head high in situations that would previously make you shrink. It is speaking as one who has already been provided for, even if there is no visible sign yet. This inner posture is the key that opens all doors. I remember a young man who understood this principle perfectly. He had very little money, but he refused to live in the consciousness of poverty. He walked with confidence, he spoke with certainty. He made decisions from abundance rather than lack. When friends would complain about money, he would respond with gratitude for all he had. When opportunities arose, he would act without hesitation, knowing he was provided for. People were drawn to his energy. Opportunities appeared. Money came to him in unexpected ways. Within 2 years, he had built a thriving business. He had not waited for abundance to appear before living abundantly. He had lived abundantly first, and the external world had conformed to his internal state. Look at anyone who has achieved great prosperity. Before they were rich in the world, they were rich in their internal state. They already saw themselves as worthy. They already spoke as masters of themselves. They already walked with the certainty that they possessed. Money merely bowed to that vision. That is why even in the midst of crisis, some prosper while others perish. It is not external events that decide outcomes. It is the internal state that each person maintains. If you desire abundance, start now to live as one who already has. Do not wait for your bank account to change to feel free. Feel free, and the account will have to change. Do not wait for a raise to feel valued. Feel valued, and the raise will come. Do not wait for external signs to believe it is possible. Believe, and the signs will come as a consequence. Courage lies in acting as a creator, not as a beggar. The beggar asks and waits. The creator commands and assumes. As long as you live begging for changes, you will remain a slave to appearances. But the moment you assume the position of owner, of master, of someone who already has, all creation will respond in obedience. Now that the truth has been placed before you, there are no more excuses. You know that money is not a distant enemy, nor a judge who decides whether or not to bless your life. It is merely a reflection of the state you silently maintain. If until today you have lived begging, waiting for something external to change, so that you might finally feel prosperous, the time has come to reverse that order. For nothing from outside has the power to create. The power has always been in you and has always been within. Treat money as a living person. Speak to it as you would an intimate friend. Say, "Thank you for being here. I know you always arrive at the right time. I feel your constant presence in my life." Do this not as mechanical repetition, but as the expression of a growing conviction. Abandon the illusion of separation. Recognize that there is no distance between you and money. It is part of your life, like the air you breathe, like the sun that warms you. Wear the feeling of abundance. Let it shape your posture, your decisions, your entire way of being. Honor money with respect, not as something to worship, but as an ally in expressing your highest purpose. And walk as one who already possesses, not as one who waits. These are not empty pieces of advice. They are commandments of the law that governs all creation. The visible world is shadow, reflection, echo. The true reality is the one you assume within yourself, and it is the only one that never fails to project itself. Therefore, I tell you, stop begging, stop waiting, stop looking at appearances as if they were masters of your life. You are a creator, and the creator does not ask permission. Command in silence, sustain in certainty, vibrate in the assumed state, and the world, however resistant it may seem, will have no choice but to obey. Leave here today with a new attitude, not as someone who seeks, but as someone who already possesses. Not as a servant, but as a master. Not as one lacking, but as an heir of infinite abundance. For everything already is, and everything is already within you. Money will not come because you beg. It will come because you dare to assume the place from which you should never have departed. The place of one who creates through imagination and sustains through faith. And when this becomes your truth, you will see that abundance was never absent. It was merely awaiting your acknowledgement, your welcome, your conversation. Speak to money like a person. Treat it as a friend, and watch as it responds to your call. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.